Hi guys, it's Charissa and I'm here from the community library today. Today is National Card and Letter Writing Day, so we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to show you how to make a fun shaker card. You can see how it moves inside there. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So first off the bat, I have a piece of paper that I folded in half and then in half again to make my card. And I measured it out so that it will fit in an envelope that I have. Other things that I have, I printed out a cupcake design. See my cupcake? And it's got a little candle, a little flame. Now I've cut them into their each individual pieces. You will need to do so as well. These we're actually going to make the cupcake frosting and the flame part of the shaker pieces. So we're going to need our cupcake liner and the candle. So first things first, we are going to go ahead and I'm going to tape down my cupcake liner onto a piece of paper just to make it a little easier to cut out. And I'm going to do the same thing with my candle here in a second. Now I also have some glitter for my flame and for my frosting. We have a glue gun, glue sticks. I've got some markers to draw on. I have a fine point blade that I'm going to be using to cut out the card, and I have some clear plastic film. I used the clear plastic film that we had from a binder. So let me grab a pair of scissors and then we're going to start cutting. Okay, should have grabbed the scissors first. So I've got my cupcake liner, so we're gonna go ahead and cut that out first. I suggest cutting out all your pieces first before beginning to do the frosting and the flame and doing the cutout on that, because you're gonna wanna place it on your card so that you can see just where all the pieces are going to fit. So I've gone ahead and cut my cupcake liner out here. I'm just going to peel that off. And I'm actually going to use a little bit of marker and add a little bit of a design to it, just so that it's not static. And you can do this with any shape. It doesn't have to be a cupcake. You're just going to use the same principles here to make the shaker card. Okay, so now I've got my cupcake liner. Next I'm going to go ahead and cut out the candle. And then yet again, I'm going to just use a little piece of tape because I've got my candle already cut out because I had to cut it out from my design, because if you can notice, I do have a hole where my candle is going to go right in the top there, because we do need to have that in our design, and you'll see why in just a second. And I cut that out. Candle, and yet again I'm going to just add a little design to this just to give it some personality, make it look a little more candle-like. Okay, so I've got my cupcake liner and my candle, and I'm going to set those off to the side here. Now I'm going to take my card and I'm going to take just a little bit of tape. I'm going to place the bottom of my cupcake liner on this card in about as center as I can. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the rest of the elements of my cupcake. just with tape, we're not gluing it. Because we're going to want to be able to take that cupcake liner off. And then I'm going to put my candle in. And then we're going to put the flame on. So we need to make sure that it's all positioned well. Okay, so these are all in with tape. We've got a cute little cupcake, and it looks cute, but we want a shaker card. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm gonna take the candle off, and I'm going to take the cupcake liner off. So now we just have where the frosting and the flame is. That's going to become important. So I'm going to go ahead and unfold my 4 squares, and we have where our cupcake frosting is and our candle flame. And I am going to take sharp pointy. I'm going to be very careful if you use this. And I am just going to cut around, and you notice I have some cardboard down, so do not cut into the table. That is also important to note. And we're just going to cut around the flame and the frosting. I keep wanting to say the cupcake liner, but we're cutting around the frosting. I'm going to be very careful using sharp objects. Now you could potentially, if you are better at cutting with a pair of scissors, you could cut this out with a pair of scissors if you don't have a knife blade. Looks like I didn't cut quite deep enough. There we go. Okay. And you'll see I now have a hole where my flame was. And I'm going to do the same thing to my frosting. Just cutting around. Now, when you get to the top of the frosting where I had my candle, I am cutting down and around so that I have a place to stick the candle, and you'll see when it's finished what I mean probably a little better here. It's kind of hard to visualize. All right, let's see if I can pop that out. Almost. And it's a little easy to flip over and see where you need to cut just a little deeper. All right, so you can see right here, that's where I'm going to be sticking my candle. That is because I did cut out that piece. And we need to leave this piece here so that we have a place to put our candle. All right, next step. So the next step is I'm going to use a little bit of a hot glue. I highly recommend hot glue due to the fact that it is hard to get the plastic laminate to stick. Or the plastic sheeting. We're not using laminate because we're using hot objects. So I just do a little bit of hot glue. Maybe the hot glue comes out. A little bit of hot glue. Put it down. Put it all around your edges. And we're going to take the plastic laminate here. And I'm just going to cut out a piece. Now it needs to be big enough to cover your opening. And I would give it some overlap. All right. We're going to stick that on. So now I have plastic laminate sheeting. Plastic sheeting, do not use laminate. Not when using hot glue. I'm going to keep saying. So we've got our plastic laminate. I'm going to go ahead and trim this excess off because I'm just going to use it for the candle flame. I recommend doing it in 2 pieces in case you mess up. And just squish that on. Okay, so now we have 2 pieces here. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to cap this. Sharp objects, guys. Sharp objects. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to use our hot glue and we are going to build up a barrier for our glitter to stay in. Because we do not want the person who shakes this to end up with glitter everywhere. Or maybe you do. But we're going to say we don't. And I'm just going to trim off here a piece of white paper for the background so that my glitter shows up pretty nicely. Trim this off. Okay, because we're going to want to be able to stick this down fairly quickly. Yep, that'll work great. Okay, so I've got my 2 white pieces of paper cut out. So we're going to just start going around the edge slightly towards the outside of the now window that you have created. And we're going to let that dry. And we're just going to keep layering the hot glue because we need to give our glitter space in order to move. So you're just tracing with your hot glue and then letting it cool and then tracing over top the hot glue that you've already put on there. I'll get this. And I'm going to go back over top the candle flame since it has cooled enough to put a second layer on. Now I'm doing 2 layers now. We're going to put the glue in once it cools, and then we're going to do another thin layer so that our white paper will stick to it. So I'm going to go ahead and do another layer on top of my cupcake frosting. Now, I'm using hot glue. This can also be done. Maybe you have foam tape. Foam tape can be kind of expensive sometimes. So I figured we'd do it with hot glue since it's more inexpensive. But you also could cut foam tape to the shape of whatever item you're going to put the glitter in. And that would keep it from leaking out and still give you the space that you need to make it a shaker. Foam tape would need to be double-sided stick because you're going to need to stick the top piece on. Silicone tape, they make that silicone tape that's real thick. So now that we've gone ahead, I've got 2 layers down. I'm going to just put a little bit of a layer on top of, a little bit on top of my flame because it looked a little short. Alright, now we're just going to give it a second or 2 for it to cool off. We're going to pick out our glitters. So I'm using a nice fun multicolor mix for my my frosting. So while that's cool, I'm going to go ahead and dump some in. And then while I've got the glitter in there, we're going to try really hard not to upset it. Don't be mad at us. We only want to make a card. And I'm going to run another little bit of glue on top just so that we can stick down that white paper is our backing. You just need enough for that backing. You're going to stick it on. Press all the way around. It's a little warm, but it's not too bad. So that we have our nice white backing on top of that glue that we just put on. And then I'm gonna put a little bit of the gold glitter in. Maybe. This is a really fine glitter, so it's a little harder to dump in. I highly recommend using a chunkier glitter. I didn't have a chunky gold for my flame, but a chunky glitter is a little more manageable in placing it and a little more fun to shake. All right, and then I go ahead and put down my final light layer of hot glue. All right, and I'm gonna hold this up and see. So, it's a little hard to see, but there's definitely some height difference from that white paper and the purple paper. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna fold my card back up. It shakes. So once you're done adding that on, your next step is to go ahead and add your candle, which you could use regular glue for. You don't have to use hot glue. And your cupcake liner onto your shaker. Ooh, I still got tape on it. Onto your shaker card. Line that up. I have a really cute, fun birthday card, and if you notice, there is no glitter falling out of my card. And they won't notice the back side where we did all of our work because it is all on the inside. So now all you have to do is sign it and send it to somebody. So I hope you guys enjoy making a shaker card, and I hope you send out some notes of encouragement to people since today is Card and Letter Writing Appreciation Day. So you guys have a great day, and I'll see you all next time.